Hi, this is Marisa Benedict, and you're listening to The Other Side of the Bell.
Hello, and welcome to The Other Side of the Bell, a podcast dedicated to everything trumpet, brought to you by Bob Reeves Brass. We'll help you take your trumpet playing to the next level. I'm John Snell, trumpet specialist here at Bob Reeves Brass, and I'll be your host for this episode. Joining me today is trumpeter and recording engineer Greg Curtis. We'll get to Greg's interview here in a moment after a word from our sponsor and some trumpet news. Today's episode is brought to you by Bob Reeves Brass, who share your passion for creating extraordinary music. You know that feeling when your instrument just clicks and the music flows effortlessly? That's what Bob Reeves Brass has been helping customers do since 1968. We've helped brass musicians like you achieve their dreams by ensuring their equipment is always in perfect harmony. We know you want to immerse yourself in the art of music making, and we're here to remove any barriers between you and your creative vision. Bob Reeves Brass is truly your one-stop shop for everything you need to fuel your passion and create music that touches hearts and souls. So go ahead, let us help you elevate your sound to new heights. Don't wait another moment to elevate your musical journey with Bob Reeves Brass. Connect with us at bobreeves.com, shoot us an email at info@bobreeves.com, and keep up with the latest news on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter at Bob Reeves Brass. Embrace your passion for music and let Bob Reeves Brass be your partner in creating the extraordinary. Well, first, I want to start off by thanking all of you who listened to the last episode featuring me. Still a very unusual feeling to be on the other side of the bell. But it truly means a lot. The number of emails and YouTube comments and phone calls and texts that I got, really, I'm humbled, and it means the world to me that you got so much out of my interview. It's funny, other than, hey, John, it's nice to finally know a little bit about you. You're an enigma that I've listened to for hours and hours. Other than that comment, the other comment I got was that I forgot to talk about equipment and like what I use and that sort of thing. So I'm not going to bore you with the details now because I know a lot of you are here to listen to Greg's interview, and which is a fabulous interview, by the way. A lot of great stories from Greg. But I will at the end during my outro after I graciously thank our guest. I'll do a little segment where I talk about the equipment I play for those of you who are curious. Some trumpet news coming up. Wow, school is in full swing. My freshman son is in marching band, so kudos to all you high school and college trumpet players out there playing in all sorts of weather at football games here in the U.S., and the parents that drive them to rehearsals and competitions and football games. A lot of you are back to school, either teaching or in school. If you need anything, we are your place for that. As you can see behind me, I have a ton of guard bags in stock for trumpet, trombone. We even have some euphonium bags. We actually have a few saxophone cases. So if there's any saxophone players that listen to this, we have a few saxophone guard bags that are kind of hard to come by. Lots of trumpets have come in. I have a great selection of Shire's trumpets. I have lots of Charlie Davis trumpets in the shop right now, a couple Van Laar C trumpets, and of course, tons of mouthpieces. We've had a lot of folks come in for valve alignments and mouthpieces in the last month or so. We're up to our neck, up to our ears in mouthpieces. But if by all means, if you're interested in finding your first lead mouthpiece or that orchestral mouthpiece or a flugelhorn mouthpiece, whatever you might need now that the school year started, feel free to give us a call or send us an email. We'll be glad to help you out. A couple shout outs. Greg, who's been listening, he reached out to us a few months ago for some work, and he said he just found out about the podcast, and he started from episode 1. If you can believe that. And he's working his way through. And I just talked to him the other day, and he's up to the pandemic years, which should be some interesting podcasts because those were some interesting times. But he's made it through well over 100 podcasts in the last few months. So shout out to you, Greg. When you get caught up, you will hear this shout out to you. And a lot of you, of course, have reached out with podcast guest suggestions, keep those coming. Just info@bobreeves.com. You can send that along for who you want to hear on upcoming episodes. This year, or at least last few episodes, we're featuring folks like myself who do something a little bit outside of the ordinary. We're also trumpet players and have professional careers at some form or another, but have done other things. And so it just kind of happened, I make mouthpieces, but also play. Today's guest, Greg Curtis, is a recording engineer and owned the Bridge recording studio here in LA and also plays. Our next guest, Tim Larkin, is a video game composer and sound engineer and who just released an album. So we'll kind of keep that theme going for a few episodes until we move on. I think that's all the news I have. Oh, quick thing. Mark on your calendars, Veterans Day weekend. We are finalizing our plans to go out to North Carolina for our annual visit with Greg Black Mouthpieces in Mount Holly, outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. That'll be probably the Friday and Saturday before Veterans Day. I believe that's the 7th and 8th, or 8th and 9th of November. And then we'll be at the North Carolina Music Educators Association Conference on that Sunday and Monday. I believe it's the 9th and 10th, and that's up in Winston-Salem at the Convention Center. So a lot of you visited last year around that time, and so we'll be heading back that way. Also finalizing our plans with Virtuosity in Boston. That should be during the fall sometime. And I know I keep plugging Getting Out to Dylan Music in New York, and I swear one of these times we're going to do it if they weren't just so darn busy, and same here. But that is going to happen, and as soon as it happens and it's confirmed, I will make the announcement. Okay, that's all I have today. Let's get right to my special guest today, Greg Curtis. Well, I'm so honored to have joining me today, today's guest, Greg Curtis, trumpeter, recording engineer, and founder of the Bridge Recording in Los Angeles, where projects from The Simpsons to Marvel films were recorded. A versatile performer in orchestras, jazz, and Latin ensembles, Greg has also produced and mixed Paul Literal's latest album, The Literal Truth, continuing his unique career at the intersection of performance and production. And I should also mention that Greg played in the Northridge Brass Quintet with me many, many years ago. So besides being a dear friend of mine, Greg is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to both trumpet playing and on the other side of the window in the engineer's booth at a recording studio, and look forward to our conversation. So without further ado, here's my interview with Greg Curtis. Well, I'm so excited to have joining me on the other side of the bell today, Greg Curtis. Greg, you're looking wonderful.
Oh, wow. Thank you. You too, John.
How's things? We used to play together all the time, and we haven't seen each other.
We've known each other for over 20 years.
Yeah.
We played in a quintet those many years ago.
And Rock Inc. and all kinds of fun stuff.
Rock
so you have a lot of blackmail on me, so I'll take it easy on you today.
I do. So be careful, man.
You know how sharp I actually play.
No.
It's just a rumor. Just a rumor. The Trumpet Herald guys. He plays sharp.
Oh, no. I don't want to get into that. I have no idea what that is all about. Is that the thing?
That's the thing. That's the thing. Well, let's talk about
job of a lead trumpet player to play just a little sharp. So
it's energy.
It puts you a little excitement. Higher up. It is, yes. We can talk about that later. That is actually a thing.
We'll get into that, and I know how this interview is going to go already. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right.
But let's talk about you. Let's talk about how you started playing trumpet. How did it find you?
Gosh, 1970 something, 5th grade, and thanks to my mom. Mm-hmm. She's a strong advocate for music and music education and getting us kids, my 2 sisters and I, into music. So 5th grade. I went to the petting zoo end of 4th grade, pick out hear the band play and pick out an instrument. I liked the trumpet. It was loud and bright and high notes and sounded cool. So 5th grade, I got the school horn and the mouthpiece, took it home. And I couldn't play a note, but eventually I did. Then I came back and got private lessons and did pretty well. So by the end of grade school, I was playing at my local church, and they were paying me money, so I could say I was a professional musician since the late 70s.
Wow,
$5 or 20, I don't know what it was. I was playing like every Sunday at church. And then high school had a great band director, Leroy Wolter in Oshkosh North High. I was there with some great friends. Michael Durkee played saxophone. A great band. We actually cut records in high school at a professional studio.
You're kidding?
Yeah, no. And we played professional events. We would play like businessmen's lunches at the Holiday Inn. Big band. And we had a concert band and all that stuff too. Played at the Special Olympics, which hit Oshkosh for some reason in the mid 80s. So yeah, a great band director. Great mom paying for lessons.
So, did you have any other musicians in your family? I know that all your brothers and sisters played instruments.
Yeah, they kind of dropped out, and we all took piano lessons too. I stuck with the horn and was good enough that I was playing in like honors, the regional honors bands, going to summer music camps. In high school, Bobby Shue was a thing in the Midwest. He'd come out every summer for summer music camps, and also played concerts at the local college and stuff. So I was, lessons and stuff with Bobby Shue. He was at the Green Bay Summer Music Camp in the 86 or 87 when I was a junior, senior. That was a 2-week camp. And I took lessons with a guy named Al Butcher at UW Oshkosh. His son, I believe, might still be a pro player in Nashville. Trumpet, great teacher. He got me started with the Arbenz book and all, and the Chickowitz studies and all that. And he prepared me to audition for college.
Really? So you were, with the playing experience you had, and
yeah, it was kind of
like you really enjoyed the horn. You were, raring to go.
I took lessons with Chickowitz at Northwestern before college. I auditioned for him. I auditioned at UW Madison, and that's where I got in with a little scholarship there. And I studied with John Aley for 3 years, and then I transferred to UW Milwaukee, where I studied with Wayne Cook and then Dennis Najoom.
Wow,
two incredible teachers.
Quite the list of teachers. I want to jump back a little bit, talk about your, hearing Bobby Shue and then getting lessons with him. What was that like?
He was coming out with a shoe horn, which had the 2 bells, right? I think one was a trumpet and one a flugel, or 2 trumpets, one with a mute. These were lessons that were short because there were 300 kids at a camp, so it's 15 minutes, half an hour. It wasn't like a protege situation, but he taught me the ease of playing. The fun of playing. The guy's a lot of fun, if you know him, and just a general outlook on the instrument and a musical lifestyle of just giving into the music. Technique, he was cool that he didn't bother because he knew it was a short lesson. He just gave people inspiration and tips, like, here's an alternate fingering for that high A, stuff like that. Or he would tell you a story about, Sinatra or something, which was cool. But then in high school, that's a big thing, and that stuck with me. And just the way he led ensemble readings and concerts and stuff like that was hugely inspirational. And I ended up meeting Bobby later in North Texas too.
When you were down there.
Yeah,
amazing.
Later.
It's you can't discount what those kinds of experiences
inspirational, especially to a kid.
At a young age, get your kids to a summer camp, or if someone's playing in town, or if you run a university, run those kinds of summer programs.
My mom would drag me to every concert she could, and that was huge for me.
Did you have any direction at a young age, or say like in high school, about which way you wanted to go in music?
Not really.
Commercial, orchestral, just you liked playing?
I like listening to Maynard Ferguson and playing along. I had a radio and a record player. I would go to the library and get records and just play along with Maynard or Bobby Shue stuff, whatever I could get. Doc Severinsen was another one. So I was more into like high energy. I was a kid, high energy stuff. My dad listened to opera and orchestral stuff. So I was always listening. I had that on in the house all the time. So I knew about that. And being a talented young player, there's always the bands and orchestras, youth orchestras and stuff that I played in. But I didn't really get into the heavy orchestral stuff till college.
Yeah. So that was, when you went off to college, what was your progress like? Did teachers get you from A to B and anything? So any struggles or things?
Yeah, I struggled at Madison with John Aley. We just didn't mix. It was like oil and water. There was some disconnect, just the way he taught and the way I learned and functioned. I don't know how to describe it. Maybe I was more of a natural player and he was trying to get me into a certain mode. He was heavy into monettes at that time. I don't know. I don't want to disparage anyone. I just didn't have a good time. And I felt like I was falling, kind of like, what am I doing here? So that's one of the reasons I transferred to Milwaukee. I wanted to play more too in town. And Madison's a small town. So Milwaukee gave me an opportunity to play in lots of orchestras. And it gave me teachers that I connected with really well. I connected great with Wayne Cook, who's kind of an old school Bud Herseth kind of guy, very by the book, but just this ebullient, joyful guy and great advice, and just took me to the basics. But he was smart enough. He didn't try to break things down or change anything. He's like, you're a good player. We're not going to wreck you. Maybe we'll give you a darker sound for orchestral. So here's a 1.5 C, got rid of the 7 C. So that helped a lot.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
But it brings a big point that especially folks going to college where they're going to spend 2, 3, 4, or like me, 7.5 years.
Yeah. That was me too.
Just because a player is great doesn't mean they're a great teacher. Just because they're a great teacher doesn't mean they're going to connect with you.
They may be a great teacher. It's just the equation. He's A and you're B, and then the equal sign is less than A or B.
Yeah.
Just didn't work out.
And so, are you glad you transferred?
In the long run? 100%. Yeah, it was best. A great move. Yeah, and it was my initiative too. I just was following out. So that taught me something too. If things aren't working out, move on. Yeah, really. And we have a similar path in that regard, because I was at Cal State Long Beach for 3 years. Yes.
And I mean, for me, the change had nothing to do with my trumpet teacher, because I had Charlie Davis and love him to death. He's like second father to me. But no, I needed a change of scenery, for a zillion other reasons. And I found my wife that way. So there we go.
God, yeah, dude, we have very similar lives.
and I think we probably wouldn't have met, because when I was at Northridge, that's when I got into the circle of friends that then you were involved with.
Yeah.
So everything happens for a reason. But yes,
indeed,
change is a good thing sometimes.
It's a path, path leads certain ways. But I had a great time in Milwaukee Civic Symphony, Racine Symphony, and the Kenosha Symphony are all AFM. And I was second trumpet in all of them.
Wow. So you were getting professional experience.
Yeah.
Still finishing up your undergrad and.
Yes. Taking lessons, playing a lot. So I was in those 3 orchestras all at once, and we called it a salsa band, a Latin band, more merengue style, with my buddy Greg Garcia on trumpet, playing high notes. I was in a disco band every Wednesday night at the Bradford Beach Club, playing 3 sets of memorized disco songs and end to end. Yeah, that helped a lot with my range. I got a pretty. I was playing high notes a lot. I was also playing in the Green Bay Opera as well.
Man,
I remember driving down from Green Bay, because I'd stay in a hotel, and then driving in a driving rainstorm to my gig at the BBC on Wednesday nights. And of course, that night I made $20, because it was whatever the door. But the next week it was a 9-piece band. I made $300. So we had good crowds.
Amazing. Yeah, good. That's chop wise then, did you find it difficult to switch gears from playing disco to opera?
No, I loved it. I loved doing that. I love going from an opera pit to stage wearing polyester and an afro wig. It was ridiculous, and it was awesome. Absolutely loved it.
Are there pictures?
There are, but you'll never see them. Oh. There's even a video on VHS.
Come on.
Oh, my son found it.
Oh my gosh.
My Daniel found it, and he watched it, and I think we're going to have to digitize it. Put it on Trumpet Herald.
Yes, I love it. I mean, equipment wise, were you using the 1.5 C for everything? Or?
No, Bach Strad, and for the legit Bach 1.5 C with an open backbore. Commercial stuff, I was switching to everything. Schilke 13A4A. Was it Bob Black?
Or Greg Black?
Greg Black, yeah. A Bob Reeves. I found a Bob Reeves 43S, and I still have it. That's my favorite, probably the Desert Island mouthpiece. You could do that.
Love it.
Love it. And I was playing on that and some other wacky stuff. I had a jet tone, like an MF model jet tone. It was just ridiculous. I would just try stuff out. I'm a trumpet player. We have a drawer of like 100 mouthpieces, right?
Yeah.
Like Lou Soloff on stage.
he'd have 100 on his stand.
Yes.
Let alone
I remember at ITG. Him switching between phrases.
Yeah, he wanted to give Doc Severinsen a run for his money.
No, I never saw Doc live, unfortunately. Even though he was like the Pops Orchestra director for the Milwaukee Symphony.
He was up in Milwaukee.
It was. I was always gigging. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I guess that is a good problem to have.
It's sort of. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was towards the end
working. So, what was your practice like? I mean, you're playing so much. You're getting your undergrad. I mean, were you just playing trumpet all day?
Playing all day, 8 hours a day. So practice was the top of the pyramid. I was doing the playing, and then if I had time, I'd practice. I didn't, it's one thing I kind of regret. I didn't really practice. I didn't nail. I wasn't Alan Vizzuti going crazy. I was just a meat and potatoes, good trumpet player. I did solos and stuff, hide in the Hummel, piccolo. I'm really good at piccolo trumpet. I might brag. So I could do that, but I was not going to play Carnival of Venice for anybody. I could, like, if I sat and practiced, but that wasn't my mode. My mode was to jam, was to play with people. I really like communicating music in the moment and playing. Practicing was drudgery to me. Still is.
I understand, and I think a lot of us do.
There's no joy.
Kind of go back to what Bobby Shue said about finding joy in what you do, and
if you find your joy in playing, I suggest doing it. If you find your joy in practicing, good, but make sure people hear you too.
Exactly.
Oh, one more thing, I also was subbing in the Glenn Miller band. I played in that too. So when it came, when it came to town, they needed subs because they were North Texas guys and Alaska guys and Eau Claire guys in the band. So they would have to do finals. So they would call me and Greg Garcia, and we would jump into the band. And that was wild because it's the original sheet music. You have to go to a bus that's filled with clothes and try on clothes, get their clothes, and you have to use their mutes. And the music is handwritten with all sorts: stand up, wave left, wave right, shout this. And I'm tall, so it's at my ankles, and I'm standing trying to do these choreographed moves I've never done in my life. So it's pretty wild.
How often did you play with them? Was it
just a few
locally,
times? No, I was up in Green Bay. Generally,
so when they come into town,
they play in this big hall up in Green Bay, and it was a big venue, thousands of people. So it was pretty wild. That was my first big band, and also played at a stage. Summerfest has huge stages too. Played on those for thousands.
What fun!
Yeah, it was fun.
What fun!
It was like, holy cow, I can have fun playing.
I also, before we move on, I also want you mentioned you studied with Dennis Najoom as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Was
great guy.
What was that like?
Great friend. Oh, wonderful. He bridged the gap between the technical aspect and the joy of playing and just the naturalness. He is a natural player. He's the kind of player, I don't think I've ever heard him miss or chip a note ever, in 4 years of studying with him. And we worked on my horn. I've got the Dennis Najoom ultra lightweight lead pipe to help it speak a little better. Little subtle things, kind of like Charlie Davis, kind of in a way, just tinkering. But he really had a good knack for figuring out the physics of the horn and matching it to a player. So we did a lot of work with mouthpieces and the horn and the lead pipe and just trying different things, moving the spit valve around, just really tweaky stuff, which is kind of fun because I'm a hands-on mechanical kind of guy. So that appealed to me. Plus he was just a natural player. So that appealed to me too. Yeah, he was really cool. I really enjoyed that. That was at the end of Milwaukee.
End of Milwaukee. Yeah. So you ended up graduating from there, and then
audition. Flew around, auditioned everywhere I could.
So we wanted to go on to a graduate degree.
I was hoping to go out to the East Coast. Yeah, Boston, Berkeley, all those. We were Rochester, New York, Manhattan School of Music. But then the last thing, place as a kind of like, okay, I might as well. I took a flight down to North Texas and auditioned for Keith Johnson and Candelaria. And a month later, I got a letter from them saying, hey, you got a full scholarship for grad school. So I was like, okay,
wow,
I'm taking that.
Can't turn that down.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Wow. So you end up down in Texas at UNT with Candelaria?
I chose Candelaria. It was him or Johnson. And Jay Saunders was there too, but I didn't really know about him. So I ended up with Candelaria because here was another fork in the road. I wanted Dennis and Wayne were so nice and so giving. I wanted kind of as more of a drill sergeant, and Candelaria had a reputation as a drill sergeant. So it's like, okay, I'm going to really button down, get my ass kicked. So I took Candelaria, and it worked out okay. It worked out. I don't know what would have happened with Keith either. But in hindsight, maybe Jay would have been more fun. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I ended up playing as I was a orchestral. I was a legit music major with a musicology minor. Which
interesting.
That opened up a whole new chapter in my life too. Instead of a jazz secondary, Candelaria convinced me to do musicology. Maybe they needed students. I don't know. Maybe he thought I couldn't play, I couldn't hack it. Because he didn't just know me from my audition and just private lessons, So yeah, coming out of the blue. So yeah, I'm doing that. And I met a lot of great people. Dr. Michael Cooper is a friend of mine from the musicology department. And we were involved with the project now, in fact. So it's another branch in life that, never where it goes. But anyway, I was playing in the Wind Symphony and the bands and all that stuff, taking lessons, playing in chamber groups. Denton, Texas is an isolated town. There's not much going on. Eventually I got smart and I was practicing and I saw a sign up, hey, jazz band auditions. It's like, oh, cool, I'll give it a shot. Yeah, and then I ended up playing split lead in the 2 with Pete DeSiena. So that was cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So the orchestral guy plays split lead in the 2 o'clock.
I could. I was like, what you doing here, man?
All the jazz guys are like, where did this guy come from?
Yeah.
What is this? That's awesome.
It was cool. So I was like third trumpet and then doing meat and potato lead stuff while Pete rested his chops for his double C craziness. It was just cool to be with Jim Riggs in the Kenton Hall and rehearsing every day, and then subbing in the 1 o'clock when they needed it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
One of the 2 were cool. They were kind of their own entity. Like we had the sax section from the 1 o'clock the previous year for the semester, and they came into the 2 and then vice versa. So they just swapped around. The 2 was the standards band, and then the 1 o'clock is the new music band. So,
interesting.
In that band, you'd have the 12 pages spread out. In the 2 o'clock, you had the 3 pages. Have swing band stuff. Yeah, and we'd do tours. We just sight read, concerts and stuff. It was cool.
Amazing. Yes, and I mean, there's always incredible players coming out of there. I mean, Pete DeSiena, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Anyone else inspiring?
Well,
there
was,
groups,
there's that famous little house on Ayuf Street by the cemetery in Denton. That's where all the trumpet players lived. So Adolfo Acosta was living there. Scott Engelbright was living there. And a bunch of other guys. So I'd come over there and drink beers at night and just play high notes and watch crazy movies. And that's, that's where Bobby Shue would end up after gigs and stuff. He'd up there, we'd bring a 6-pack in and we'd just shoot the shit.
That's the hang.
It was cool. Yeah.
Were any of the Tasty Brothers tracks recorded during that time?
They were pretty much done with that stuff. They were kind of doing it and finishing it off because I think Donnie Diaz was moving on to something else or out of the school. Scott was done with the university. I think Adolfo had just finished with Maynard. Scott had been previous to Donnie, but Scott was just kind of hanging out and doing crazy stuff, He wasn't doing much except
hanging out and playing high notes.
On high notes and having fun.
Yeah. I'm proud to say that I bought the complete set.
Oh, nice.
Of Tasty Brothers CDs in the mid '90s.
I have a Tasty Brothers story. So I go to a lesson with Candelaria, and he's like, "Listen to what this kid submitted for his audition," and it was the Tasty Brothers Hummel. They were submitting it to the professors as audition tapes.
I could totally see that.
Candelaria, to his credit, Candelaria loved it. He thought it was amazing.
I mean,
you laughed.
It for what it is. It's hysterical. I mean, and 2, like the chops that they have to do that kind of stuff. As tasteless as it is, it's still
tasteless
incredible.
As possible. They would go to classrooms at night, late at night, bring a 6-pack and just record these on the cheapest equipment possible. Yeah, it's just nasty. It was awesome. It was tasty.
Yeah. That's it with two E's. My favorite track of all of them is the cat food, the Meow Mix commercial.
Oh, I don't know that one off the top of my head.
I'll have to dig that one up. Meow, 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 mew, meow. That's the commercial. Again, it's cats running around, and then they just play that up 3.5 octaves.
Yeah, play that. Put that as the outro music to this.
But yeah, that'll be the new outro music. Yeah. So I mean, that must have cost I think $100 back in the '90s.
Yeah,
for burned CDs.
That's right. Yes, Scott was counting his money from all the sales and creating new T-shirts and hats and stuff. I think that's what he was doing.
Brilliant. I mean, he was an entrepreneur.
Way before his time, in the late '90s.
Way before his time.
Yeah, they were viral before viral was a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and you got to hang out with them and learn from them, and
just barbecue and
hang and
beer and talk music, listen to music all the time. Always be listening, young trumpet players.
Yeah, but to have those kinds of, I mean, Pete DeSiena, I mean, Adolfo
is so cool,
and Scott,
the most chill dude ever. So chill.
Yeah,
you'd never know how he plays, just hanging out with him. He's just a freak of nature. Great guy.
I need to get him on here. Speaking of which,
that's another one. Yep.
And I have a good Adolfo story. I'll get to that when we get to Rock Inc.
Okay, cool.
So you're working around Texas, right?
Not really working much. Not really.
There's not nothing.
It was 2 years there, grad school, 98 to 2000. So just doing the school thing, and newly married with my wife Emily, living in a rented little. It looked, you ever seen King of the Hill, right?
Yeah,
it's that house basically in that town. That is the town and the house.
That's Denton.
That's where we lived. So we just have little trumpet player parties, and she was getting a degree in American history, and I was getting my master's in music performance. And it was 2 years and went by pretty quick, but not a lot of gigging.
What did you do when you got out?
What do you do? Yeah,
look for work.
Yeah. So we're sitting there. Emily and I, like, what are we gonna do? Go back, go to Chicago? We want to go to a big music city, right? Chicago. No, been Midwest, New York. I can't. My idea again. I wanted to go to the East Coast, go to New York. It's like, okay, New York. Yeah, that's probably number one. But what about L.A.? That's a music town, right? So let's check it out. So we flew to L.A. and stayed in Santa Monica in a hotel, and we're like, holy cow, this town is really awesome. It's not like what they tell you in the Midwest. And then we went back a couple more times. This is towards the end of college. And it's like, okay, I think we're going to go to LA because it's really cool. And I'm a car guy. So I was like, my God, LA, love it. Connect. New York?
Car culture.
Yeah.
Car culture out here.
Car culture, man. And you better get into it because you'll be driving a lot.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, we moved to LA in 2000, fall of 2000 after grad school.
Wow. Amazing.
Didn't know anyone. Well, save one guy I knew from Milwaukee, Sean Hickey, who moved out here. He quit school before he graduated. He moved out here to LA and started working at Universal Studios as a music prep. So he was the only guy I knew. I didn't call him until a few months after I'd been here. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing out here.
A town of 12 million people and one person.
Yeah.
But at least he's in music. So, well, then what did you do? How did you start getting on the scene?
How do you find a gig? In 2000, there were the interwebs back then. So I logged on my old Mac computer in the basement.
Is that it behind you, by the way? I was looking at that. That
is an eMac, and there's a whole other story. That is actually a gift from my friend Sean Hickey. He found that, cool. And my kids love it. That's early 2000s, and that weighs about 70 pounds.
Yeah, my grandpa had one of those. I love it.
It is wild. But I found we need a trumpet player at Occidental University for our jazz band. They had a student band and they needed a ringer, whatever. So I was like, okay, that's just down the street. I lived in Atwater. So I drove there, and there was another ringer, Elliot Kane. And we're like, hey, man, what's up? And so we became friends there during that engagement of a few weeks, once a week, and then a concert. And you say, hey, man, I can't make this rehearsal with this band in Altadena. So can you handle it? It's like, okay. So I got in there, and I met Jesse Korn and a bunch of other people. And, hey, man, I need a sub. It's the same story, right? It's the musical sub. You play well, and someone needs a sub, and you get the call. So I just the tree grew from that little seed of the Occidental University. Oh, and through the Occidental, I played with the Riverside Symphony too, for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
So from that one,
the leader of that band was the bass player and the the personnel manager of the Riverside Symphony at that time.
See, I mean,
Yeah.
a little bit of luck, but also you obviously played well.
Yeah,
and
be able to hack it and make friends, be friendly.
And that big band, it was a big band, right? You played with Jesse Korn, and I mean, there was a lot of working musicians in that group. Right?
Yes, yeah, a lot of in the early 2000s. That band did a lot of gigs, funerals, not funerals, weddings. We did a funeral, and then out at the county parks all over LA, on the ocean, and we did Dina Martin's wedding at the equestrian facility. That was a good gig. It was a union gig and lots of money and fun. Good. We did union gigs. Charlie Davis came in. We played we backed up some pretty good, some talented artists at different shows, and we kind of outfitted the band seated it with guys like Charlie and stuff in the band. So yeah, it was working pretty hard for 10 years or so, And then Dennis, our Rock Inc. guy, who was another promoter, a relentless promoter, was in that band. So got side gigs and other bands out of that.
Yeah.
It was busy.
Yeah. That seemed like, because I must have met you, 2001, 2002?
Probably in the quintet.
Yeah.
With Noah and those guys. And then, and that led to the other chapter of my life, the film scoring stuff. We'll put that on the table for later. But then I played. You were subbing in Dennis's band too, or we both kind of were. It's a rotating group.
Yeah, well, he did the Swing Inc., which, like, if you picture the mid-late 90s, I mean, even though they weren't, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, there was
we were doing
a huge scene.
The Hat, and yes.
Yeah. The Green Hotel, I think they had a weekly spot for years there.
Eagle Rock Bowling Alley.
All-Star Lanes. Yes. All-Star Lanes. So Dennis K had the swing group, and then he started rocking to cover the classic rock side of things. And what was cool about that band is we had, it was a big horn section, so we could do fun stuff.
Yeah, two trumpets,
trombone.
Ed Weiss on trombone.
Ed Weiss, Dave Howell sometimes.
Yeah.
Katja Reicherman was doing trombone with sax with, Rod Stewart.
That's right.
He got a lot of great players through there, and us.
And us.
There was
true.
Us.
Yeah.
But I owe it to that band. That's where I really developed, and actually standing next to you and Paul, literal. We'll get to Paul here in a little bit. Just standing next to you guys, hearing your phrasing and how you could play the horn. Like, that's how I started developing my quote unquote commercial chops.
Yeah, you were like a legit guy, right? Is that what's?
Yeah. And it was great.
You did great. Yeah, I didn't know.
Except for the sharpness.
Oh, we'll talk about that.
And that was right around the time I started working for the shop. And Bob Reeves said, "John, what the hell are you doing playing a 3C in a rock band, and playing salsa gigs?"
Yeah, why?
I thought you do everything on one mouthpiece, So, a lot of those pieces just in my own playing started coming together, thanks to you. And you also made me feel short.
I have that ability somehow. Yeah. Imagine me playing with these. I played in a lot of salsa bands too during that time, at least three. Orchestra Guayao, Orchestra Malaza, and Salsumba. Yeah. Like three nights a week, all over Southern California. And those guys aren't very tall, these Mexican dudes, South Americans. They used to try to pass me off as like Ecuadorian, they call me like Grigor from Peru or something. They'd make up shit to pass me off as some freak from South America.
The hulking Wisconsinite.
I'm just this Polish guy from Milwaukee.
Yeah. I love it. So, you were working a ton. And that must have been difficult because you had a family at that point, right?
Not yet.
No kids yet. Okay.
No,
so that gave you a little bit of wiggle room in terms of gigging. And
that's the only way that would work. Because I was we do every Thursday in the Gas Lamp at Cafe Sevilla in the Gas Lamp in San Diego on Thursdays. And I'd get home 3 or 4 in the morning. And I'd have to drive a bass player who was a coke addict. That's a whole other life there too. So that's interesting.
That's the real side of the music scene, unfortunately, sometimes.
Yeah, he passed away. So don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah. Well, so you're playing a lot in LA. You made a shift at one point to get into recording, right?
Yeah. So
Is it?
I was playing with you and Noah and Dylan and all those guys, and they're at USC, most of them, and they're hooking up with film composers there, right? And it's a big film school. So Patrick Kirst is a composer, and no one knew him pretty well. And so you needed the guy with microphones to do it. And I did. One thing we didn't mention is during the Milwaukee era, I don't know how many hours were in a day back then. I was also doing live sound on the weekends at a punk rock club called Quarters on Central.
On top of all the playing and gigging and school and stuff. Amazing.
Yeah, I was doing live sound for everything from bands I can't say their names because they're too filthy to folk music trios, and who knows what would walk in the door. I had no idea. So yeah, just put up some 57s, had a good sound system. It's all wooden room. Actually, the room sounded cool. And I just filled in some night, and I was like, "Hey, you're really good, man." It's like, yeah, because I'm listening. I make it sound right. So he's like, "You got a job? I'm making $5 an hour, man." It was awesome. Woo-hoo. Yeah, in the '90s, that was. Hey, it was called Quarters because beer was a quarter.
I mean, God, that's so
during happy hour. Well, you could buy a pitcher for $4. So I was
like when my grandpa used to say, I used to get a gallon of gas for a nickel, Now we're those people, Greg.
I know.
We're those people.
It's come to pass.
I remember when beer was a quarter.
So I was doing well mixing, and then another guy heard me. He's like, "Hey, I've got a company. His name is Brian, and he had a private sound company, so I started working for him too." And we worked all over Milwaukee basically. So I was doing live sound. So
you had that, and you had that in your back pocket this whole time.
And, in grad school I didn't use it, and then I came here and I wasn't using it. I was going to be the next studio trumpet player, and someone needed a guy who could record, so I did it. I helped Patrick do some film scores, and then I was like, hey, I like this stuff. I'm a mechanical guy. I like engineering. I like physics. I hate math, but I like putting microphones and making things sound good. So I took a UCLA in audio engineering course and went through their certificate program, 2 years deal. And that was cool at that time, early 2000s, because UCLA did not have a studio. So they used Capitol, Westlake, Conway.
Oh,
so
you got to go into the great rooms
and record on
the great
tape
boards.
Yeah. And we recorded Weird Al's bass player's band. All the teachers were great because they were engineers working in the studio industry in the early 2000s. They were left over from the 80s and 90s, so they're actually real recording engineers. And they taught us big consoles, tape decks, microphone technique, serious stuff. It was in depth, and also we had a course in physics and math at UCLA in classrooms, which I hated, and then really cool course in psychoacoustics, which is how your brain interprets sound, which is really interesting with Sean Olive and his boss Floyd Toole are two of the preeminent guys in the audio industry, and they've groundbreaking white papers. They're real scientists. So I learned.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that was real informative.
I mean, can you give us like a 30-second primer on that? I mean, is that like the brain process, like how we see like optical illusions kind of thing?
Well,
like the way the brain processes isn't necessarily.
Yeah.
Am I on the right track there?
You got it.
Kind of thing?
Well, it starts with the sound, and we're in a medium called air, and air is a medium. It's not just nothing. So it compresses and rare fractions of air, pressure waves hitting your ear, and your ear is a weird shape, right? And you've got a pinna, and everyone's ears are different. And then you've got an ear canal and the tympanic membrane, and the way all this mechanical voodoo works. Ear is an incredible device. And then it sends an electrical signal to your brain to interpret it all. So audio is one of the most easy. It's one of the easiest ways to fool your brain. You've heard of the McGurk effect? Yeah. The pop.
Yeah. There's a great YouTube video on that. Well, if I remember, we'll link that down below.
That is psychoacoustics in a nutshell. Yeah, you can be fooled easily, and I learned a lot about snake oil, $5,000 speaker cables and all that stuff. The cool thing about that class was it was held because they worked there at Harman Labs, JBL, AKG Corporation in Northridge. Big facility, and they have some of the best audio testing labs on earth. And those anechoic chambers where it's like zero, that's the quietest rooms on earth, are one of them is there. So we, as a class, participated in a lot of studies about the relative qualities of loudspeakers. They had a special lab where a loudspeaker would jet up into position and play, and another one would be there within 3 seconds and play the same thing. And you would judge the quality of these loudspeakers in a perfect room, or a room that doesn't change, in a position that doesn't change with the speaker, and you would grade them. And they, on that, based on study, they created some groundbreaking discoveries on how people interpret sound out of a loudspeaker, and that allows them to sell more loudspeakers too, of course.
Real fascinating. Oh man,
so that informed me a lot going forward to building a studio.
Yeah, well, yeah, literally. And well, I have to turn this around to trumpet a little bit.
Sorry, we're going to
did like the psychoacoustic stuff? Did any of that inform your trumpet playing at all, or were there any takeaways?
Yes, and that now we could talk about playing sharp. You interpret
perfect.
Yeah, if you're going to play perfectly in tune, well, let's talk about just and mean intonation, right? There's that. So define even being in tune is, there's leeway there, but you're going to hear, if it sticks out, you're going to hear it. Now you don't want to be too sharp, and if you're good, you can play around with it, right? So use it to your advantage, but don't abuse it. And there are limits. But
do it intentionally too, I would guess as well, right?
If you're being buried by the band, maybe playing a little sharp will help you poke out. They may need to hear you better too. So especially with dealing with a trumpet section with four guys, trying to wrangle that and getting the sound, and just if you're a lead trumpet, telling them how to, a little softer, a little louder. Here's how we do stuff. Yeah, informing your mind, and then seeing the space you're in. If you're in a pizza joint that has no acoustics on the wall, don't blast, especially third trumpet doesn't need to blast, stuff like that. Drums don't need to blast. Just recognizing where you're at before you even play a note. Snap your fingers, clap your hands. Hey, kind of do the echo tests. Know what you're in for, and maybe you don't pick that ultra bright mouthpiece. Maybe you are going to play the 3C for this gig. Or maybe you're going to choose a different mute.
Yeah, your patrons will thank you. The restaurant owner or the contractor will thank you.
Yeah, and then you get hired again.
Yeah, amazing. And I mean, considering the room you're in as an extension of your instrument.
Always be aware of your space you're in. It's a lot different than a practice room, a lot different than a stage in a huge auditorium. These commercial places, plus there's air conditioning, there's people talking. Lots of stuff to worry about. And then you may have some guy with a microphone that doesn't know what he's doing up there.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other story. But still, I it's something to be mindful of. I've been in bands, certainly big bands, for example, that are playing for a charity function, and the room is really live. And, I won't point any fingers, but the brass section says, well, we play how we play. And it's like, well, you're going to offend people. You're going to physically hurt their eardrums at the volume we're going to play.
Know your audience.
Tone it down.
Know your audience. Yeah. Know the gig. Yeah. Don't abuse people. Yeah. Loud isn't good. Loud isn't necessarily better.
Yeah. So that you got some takeaways from the trumpet, and you did what every young budding audio engineer did. You built a studio.
Yeah, right.
From the ground up.
Well, this is where
literally, right?
Yeah, this is where family comes in. So I was I built a studio in my basement basically. And this is not the place. This is new. That basement in Atwater. Started recording a lot and recording myself too. Kudos to Noah for giving me some gigs. I'm on some like Japanese anime stuff and some things, but I ended up recording a lot in my basement. Many times weekly, daily even. And we had our first child, a Benjamin, and it was just getting too much to have a family in a small house and having people, George Deering comes in with 50,000 guitar cases and you're trying to change diapers and stuff, or kids got to sleep.
You're recording in
Grant
your basement.
Geisman's turning up his amp, or a tuba, something. So it wasn't working out. We made it work, but it wasn't a good situation. So we thought of ways to get out and started small.
I didn't know you started in your basement.
Yeah. You never really were down there.
That was back when it was a man cave and you had a TV and a weight bench. That was it.
Yes.
So
The weight bench stayed in there in the corner even during the recordings. It was damp. It wasn't resonating, but it just sat there. I mean, it's weighs too much to move it, and it stayed when we sold the house. It stayed there with the house.
How funny!
But I turned that front room into the studio area.
So you started literally in your basement.
Yeah.
Started your business and
bought a couple 414 mics and interfaces and Pro Tools in the early 2000s, and I had my UCLA chops then for engineering. So I just got more and more into it, and that just started taking up my time. And when we were approaching the idea of building a studio, a lot of things were happening in LA. Studios were closing down, big ones, big scoring stages, Stage M and CBS Radford Stage. So all this equipment came online for very good prices. You know, a big Neve console's $1 million, but here's one for $85,000. So it's like, okay. And they threw in the tape decks. So I was like, okay, that's a big console though. That won't fit in my basement or in my garage or in a little place. So we decided, okay, these places are going offline. These two giant scoring stages, which are epic, that have 100 musicians. And then O. Henry was another studio where they did a lot of Disney stuff. Big band. That was a smaller room, but they're going offline. There's a hole in the market. Let's do it. So conjure up some upfront money from investors. And, 6 years later, 3 times the budget, we had a scoring stage, and we're in debt. But it was a good run. Yeah, 10 years at the Bridge Recording.
Literally, you founded and built the Bridge Recording Studio.
It took almost 2 years to find a building.
Yeah,
and this was early 2000s again. But found a place that was super cheap in Glendale. The problem was it was kind of commercial area and no parking.
No parking. I remember that.
And a bakery that was almost out of business. So that was cool. But then when we started, we opened our doors. All of a sudden they were bought, and then it became a 24-hour 3-shift operation at the bakery. That was very loud.
So people coming in and going and
machines. They added all these mixers. We're way off trumpet now, but we're talking about 800 pounds of dough flopping and making an incredible amount of noise that we didn't plan for. So when you build a studio, you plan for the noise you have. So we set up mics and vibrometers and stuff and studied 48 hours of getting all the noises around here. A diesel idling truck was our worst than the train down the street, but we could mitigate that. We had no idea what was going to be happening at the bakery. So we ended up having to redo the floor, which was not
after cheap. It was already built and you were already
perfect,
bringing work and
starting to bring in work. Our first group was John Diversa Band did a session there.
Well, the first group was the Northridge Brass Quintet.
Yeah, well,
when you got the sound panels,
the first paying,
and you wanted to hear what the room sounded like.
We did a lot of
reading session in there.
And we had sack butts in there. We had drummers in there. We had ancient instruments. We had all sorts of stuff. It was cool. Yeah, we learned a lot about physics building that place. That it's a whole other topic, but the world is a noisy place.
But it was your studio. You ran it. You were you did everything.
My wife and I owned the company, and I was there. Building was 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, or 6 days a week. Really, we didn't really work on Sunday because no one else agreed to work on Sundays. But I would go there anyway. That took about 2 years to build it. So I was not playing trumpet at that time. And then
I was going to say you had to hang it up for a while.
I had to. I was fully engrossed, like living at 16, like literally not sleeping 4 hours a night. Blood, sweat, and tears building that place to keep it, to make it mine and to keep the costs down too. And just knowing, because my plan was to be the head engineer there, but that didn't happen. But we got hooked up with TV shows and video games and films. So that's what we did. Yeah.
And you had a good run. I mean, that was
a good run.
Yeah, that was the place to record. I mean, Todd A.O. closed, I think, right? So around the time that you opened up.
Yeah, we grabbed a lot of equipment from there and Stage M. So during the run of that studio, I got to hear great trumpet players come in. It was just like a cornucopia. Oh, there's Wayne coming in from another day. Gary Grant coming in, Warren Looning, Larry Hall, all these guys just walking in the door, and I just get to listen to them and watch them warm up. Hopefully, engineer them and stuff, whatever we could do. But just seeing the etiquette and practice and technique of professional musicians in LA. on a regular basis.
Let's spend some time on that because you have a relatively unique perspective, being a trumpet player yourself, and then being in the engineer booth on the other side and seeing these guys. Take us through it, like their warm-ups.
Sure.
You mentioned just their demeanor, like what made them or makes them who they are.
Yeah, Gary Grant had a website that was very good at detailing this, but this is true for all professionals. But trumpet players are unique in that they have different requirements, especially warming up and getting in the saddle. You show up on time, that's number one, which means you're early and you're there. The great players are always there half an hour, 15 minutes is you kind of late. They're there. And if they're not warming up, they're communicating and making sure everything is correct. You're walking into a gig, you haven't seen the music yet, right? You may know what horns you need at best, or if there's a tough solo, maybe they've sent it to you the night before. They are quiet, they are professional, and they are focused. They aren't running around, they're not distracting. There's some shenanigans here and there, but they're little and they're like interpersonal stuff, and they're often very funny. But once you get into the live room, you're focused on what the music is and getting your stuff out. You're being quiet and respectful of everyone around you because there's a lot of stuff going on. There are other players coming in with larger instruments and setting up. It might be perk. There might be people bringing in instruments, at the last minute. There were orchestrators, conductors, producers, composers, engineers running around. And they're all freaking out because it's 5 minutes to downbeat, 10 minutes to downbeat, and XYZ isn't ready yet. So you need to stay out of the way, but you can warm up as expected you do. And as an engineer, I really am grateful if you are warming up because it allows me to see if the mic works. Number one, does it sound good? Number two, is the signal appropriate? Are there any defects in the line, the signal at all? So yeah, start warming up. It's not time to show off. And conversations are minimal. Greeting. People generally, when they're on the stage, aren't having conversations because they know there are about 50 live mics around them, and it's all going to the booth. So you just don't want that broadcast anyway. You're focused on the task at hand, and you're getting in the moment to perform because you have to perform. I've been lucky enough to do a few sessions, and I know you have too. They're expensive, and your job is to nail it as best you can. Just play as good as you can. So you have to really get into that mode. Yeah, no one's goofing off. In the serious states are very quiet, other than the warming up. There aren't people jibber jabbering. So,
yeah, if you have a full orchestra and there's 45, 50 people in there or more, and everyone's having a conversation,
you can't even hear yourself.
Yeah, you can't hear yourself. And even if it's at a normal conversation level, like you said, there's so many other people having high pressure, high stress jobs that need to be done by a certain time. You're having all of that extra distraction.
You're also assessing what's going to be happening. You're listening to other players too. How are they sounding? How are you sounding? You're trying to assess the general state of things in the moment. How's the session going to work out? Are you feeling good? Is this guy sounding good? Or if you haven't met, you introduce yourself and kind of get to know the guy next to you. But it's focused on getting the task at hand. Warming up is good. You should play some low notes, play some high notes, but you're not blasting. No one likes a guy blasting double G's. No, even high C's, please. Check it, make sure it's there. Fine. That's it. That's all you need. Although there have been some lesser stress ones that have been fun with some good players and their warm-ups. I wish I had been rolling tape with some of these, like some of Wayne's warm-ups are pretty awesome. When he and Rick would sit next to each other, it was fun. Those guys have been doing this for 30 years.
Easily, yeah.
And what they played sounded awesome when they were warming up. So, and it was just like a brass section thing. It wasn't a big orchestral date that your life's on the line.
Yeah, what fun! And what about when I did want to bring up. So you brought up Gary Grant. He mentioned he talked about being in the zone, which I think is it. When the red light's not on, when you're greeting people, everything's lighthearted because you have to kind of let the pressure go and that sort of thing in a controlled manner. But then once the red light's on, or you're in the studio, he called it the zone, and it's like intense focus, like martial artists, and just you and the music and your instrument.
Yep.
And also we have that studio musician's manual. We have it on our website. So
good.
We'll link to that.
I'm going to download that.
I think like every fifth or sixth thing is keep your mouth shut.
Pretty much.
I think every other time.
And when the session's in play after, 10 a.m. or 10 a.m. happens, and now you're in the session, maybe you've done the take and you're getting notes. You aren't talking, you're waiting. You may have notes to your section or to the conductor, and that's it. You only talk to the conductor. And often some musicians, and I found this a little odd, get upset that the booth isn't talking back to all the musicians, only the conductor. So be aware that even though it's quiet, the guy on the podium or the guy running the session in the room is getting notes from the booth, and you're not. So don't be upset. Some musicians got very upset by that. That's for some reason.
The line of command, and also the most efficient way to communicate ideas to get the job done.
People in the booth do have the ability to broadcast to the entire group or section by section too, if they want, but they're specifically talking because it is line of command.
Yeah. Now, what about when the red light actually goes on? What was it like hearing players like Wayne and Larry Hall and et cetera, John Lewis?
Phenomenal. Yeah. First or second take. After that, pretty much there's no reason for another take unless you want a different style. With these top LA guys, especially in 2000s, 2010s, when everyone was there and really, really hot, it was wild. Two takes, move on, 2 takes, move on. And it sounded just nuts.
And you said 1 or 2 takes, and how many times would be the second take just to have a backup?
Safety.
Just in case.
That's what they call it.
Just in case.
Okay, yeah. Safety. And then be like, we'll do it again. And then sometimes it's usually better, yeah.
Yeah.
But after that, it's the curve.
Yeah.
We could also talk about things that didn't go well, too.
Yeah, well, I'll get to that, but it's kind of the point because I don't think, studio work has spread outside of LA, obviously, and was already happening at the time you were doing this. But I don't think players understand the acute listening, like the intonation, the sound, the blend, the accuracy.
Yes,
that the players, especially during that time, what they were able to achieve.
Yeah. A lot of it comes from playing together a bit, but there's always new guys coming in, and you'd sink or swim on intonation, number one. If you're out of tune, there's no hope. It's not going to happen. You can't fix it in the mix. And then the engineer is going to be on the horn.
Yeah.
And that's when you see more than 2 takes. Style, you got to be knowing what style's going on. I mean, if you're not playing the right style, you shouldn't really be on the gig at all. If it's for this, it's orchestral romantic music, or if it's surf rock, it's got to be in that style. You can't mix them. So you got to be in tune, number one. Of course, be on time and all that stuff. But when you're playing in tune, attack, release, style, balancing. Even though there's a mic on everyone, they're really trying to use the overall mics if they can. Staying in the pocket, just be in the pocket. It's called playing in the pocket, right? Just play in the pocket and listen to your lead. You have to do it. If you're the lead, you pretty much have gotten there because you know what you're doing.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Yeah, it's incredible hearing the fact that you got to do it day in and day out, hearing that caliber of musician.
Yeah, get used to it, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like you brought up, not everything went well.
Yeah.
What were some of the things what were some of the trials and tribulations?
Yeah, so you get used to hearing that. And then sometimes an indie film would come in and they were scraping together brass. So yeah, there have been some, and it's usually the things I was talking about. People would show up late. No good. That might be your last gig. And just being out of tune. You have to be in tune. A lot of players have tuners on their bells, right? Clipping it on. So we're playing right down the middle. If that's what you need to do it. But use your ears, that just and mean intonation thing. It depends on what you're playing too. If you're playing to a rock band, you'd be playing, straight down the middle. But, just listen to your lead. It can't stress enough musicianship and playing in the pocket. So the guys that usually didn't do too well, maybe having a bad day, just hanging over. That's not a good thing. Coming in early. Missing notes isn't a problem. Just raise your hand. I missed this note, because we're not going to hear it all the time, especially if it's in the chord. So please, let us know if you missed a note. and it becomes a thing if it's all too often. And we had some problems with guys who couldn't play high notes either, who were hired and having a bad day. And we've had ringers called in. So we had one that it was pretty high. I think it was like double, A above high C, written for B flat. A guy couldn't do it. So they called in a ringer and he couldn't do it. And I was like, I got a horn here, but no, I don't know if I could do it today either. Who knows? With that note.
You just need one. Come on, Greg.
I know with that note.
Just need to get one out. Come on.
That's that squirrely note. You either got it or you don't that day, right?
Yeah.
That A sucks. Yeah, A flat fine. But that A, maybe a B is easier. I don't know. It's that break. So
it's common break.
So they had to fly one in later. But they had to pay this guy a lot, like $300 or something, to come in for 10 minutes and play it eventually.
Play one lick and be done with it.
Yeah, because he could.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's, and then on the,
it's no sauce on the players. If they couldn't do it, at least they tried and they were hired for a reason. And they got done. But people, please be aware of the beat, the click, and listen up the section. Play in tune. That's all your job really is. It's not that hard. And listen, just open your ears. That's my biggest beef with playing in some big bands that have been around, and there's some guys in it, and probably shouldn't be. They don't listen. They don't know what's going on. It's like, dude, why did you hang out so long?
Yeah, or they're on their own track.
Yeah, it's bad news. Don't stick out unless you're supposed to be sticking out. Unless it's a solo, you don't want to be soloing all the time.
Yeah. So I want to spend a little moment, because you've had so much recording experience and also as a trumpet player. I know a lot of folks listening record themselves or have their own little home stuff. Can you kind of take us through some like quick hints, quick tips on recording the trumpet in particular?
Yeah. It's something very important. That's one thing I wanted to get at. So you're at home. The trumpet's kind of a nasty devil if you stick a mic right up the bell. So try to get, here's your bell, here's a mic. What's a good way to do it? Want to be off axis, basically. Don't go right down the middle. If you have a condenser mic, probably find one here. But if it's a large die, it looks like a lollipop, or you could buy them for like $150. They're usually called condenser. Those pick up all the spittle and all the hairiness that people aren't going to hear in a concert hall, or stuff that people don't want to hear that. Right. So if you put a condenser mic right in front of your bell, just a few inches away, you're going to kill everyone's ears. It's just going to sound bad. If you need it close, and we'll discuss how close it should be, put it off axis, angle it in off the side. Yeah, angle it towards the throat, or probably a little off the throat. It's one thing unique to engineering. Okay, you mic a bass drum, you don't never put the mic in the middle. Mic a snare, never in the middle. You mic a cymbal, always somewhere in, not in the middle. Guitar amplifier cone, never in the middle. Same with a horn, never in the middle. You want the resonance and the frequencies that are developing off this instrument to collect and not just be this thing down the center of your horn. We think of playing down the center of the horn, right? But the sound, your horn is radiating sound from, that's why the bell looks like it does, right? To splash out. And actually you're getting sound from all the horns coming out everywhere. So you don't want to aim at the hole. Aim somewhere on the bell, 3 o'clock, not in the center, where the end of the middle of the hand is.
Interesting.
And judge the distance by the room you're in. If you're in a damp, well, no one has a damp room. If you're in a regular house, with no acoustic treatments, maybe a couch or whatever, you're going to need to get closer, because your energy from your horn is going to excite all these room modes and be splashing off the walls. You don't want to record that. You want to get your horn. So you have to listen, do some stuff, play a few licks, move the mic, play the same licks, move the mic, get it to the distance where you're balancing the room, the stuff that's splashing off the walls, and the direct sound off your horn. Find that, and you'll be pretty well set. Then you can do a little stuff, but I guess my gist is move stuff around till it sounds good. You want to find the balance of the room sound and your direct sound off the horn. A good room, this is why studios are built, because they're good rooms. You have more latitude then. I can move it back. We recorded Malcolm McNabb for a demo for some Pixar movie that never happened about airplanes. We had a 47 Fat, which I'm speaking into now, same mic actually, about 4 feet away, 6 feet away from him. And man, it just sounded, it was a trumpet solo. It just sounded fantastic. And then we had another ribbon mic further away. It was just a blend of those and then a couple overheads. So we had like 4 mics on the solo trumpet, but they were all at least 4 feet away from them. That's kind of the optimal sound for me. It's like that's the instrument in a good room with all the resonance and the beauty of the horn, which is radiating sound, not just from the bell, but from all over it. You know, it's a long pipe. It's 4 feet of pipe, right? And it's radiating. A lot of it's coming out the bell because of the way the bell is made, but a lot is coming out the sides too. So you really want to capture the meat, the girth of the instrument. The further away you can do that, the better, but you have to account for the room you're in, and most rooms are crappy in a house.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I think we've all experienced that in one form or another where, you know, we play, we practice, and we think we sound good, and then we record ourselves and like, wow, that sounds thin and tinny. And like you're saying, all the stuff in the core of the sound that gets picked up.
One more thing, you have you're hearing a lot in your head from the interoral cavity, right? So once we remove that, that might be the way you actually sound. Is that?
Oh God! Don't tell me.
But no, you're right. It's mainly a factor of a cheap microphone and a room that's not made for recording, basically.
Yeah, and I'm sticking to that.
Yeah, it's not your fault. It's never your fault.
It's not my fault. It's not my fault.
Never.
I swear it was second valve. That's what I was told in third grade. It was second valve. So I missed
during the pandemic. I did a lot of mixing for stuff that was flown in. You know, player in St. Louis, player in Chicago, player in Miami, and some of the problems some people had mics backwards. You know, a mic has 2 sides. If it's a cardioid mic, if it's aiming at you, a couple of people submit stuff. The mic was pointing away from them, so you get this. It sounds phasey because you're actually recording the reflection off the wall. And some of the direct sound. So they're out of time, and you're going to get a crazy phasiness, and it just sounds really awful. But they didn't hear it. So listen to the stuff you're recording. If it doesn't sound right, investigate why. There's probably a reason.
Yeah, and either hire a good sound engineer or learn yourself like you did. Go to school or take some classes.
Or just look at the mic and say, oh, it's backwards.
So I mean, I know you do obviously owning a studio and the high end recording you deal with a lot of high end stuff. I mean, could you recommend maybe a range of good trumpet mics and different price points?
I can name some. The same types first. There's the condenser type, which is kind of the popular. You have to have like 48 volt phantom power, they call it. That's a condenser mic. And that's really accurate, and it picks up all the spitties and a lot of room noises and stuff. So it's a double-edged sword there. A dynamic mic, like an SM58 or 57, like a typical stage mic, is a dynamic mic. It doesn't require any outside power. Those are gentle. Those actually are cool on horns. If you buy a good quality dynamic, like a Sennheiser 441 I just carry around my gig bag to shows. It's a big, expensive, it's like a $500 dynamic mic. That sounds fantastic on ours because it covers all the nastiness. It's like pre-EQ'd. It gets rid of all the grit and schmutz. So a very high quality, large dynamic mic is excellent, can be excellent on horns. They use it a lot on, I think, Tower of Power too, or it's called the MD88. It's this big EV kind of broadcast mics for vocal. I think you have an SM57 right in front of you.
SM7.
Yeah. Okay. It's a derivative of the SM7. Sorry. SM7. Yeah. The good
DB.
old Shure. Yeah. That's a large diaphragm dynamic mic. And those can sound good on horns and voices. Michael Jackson sang into this too.
I will not do my impression. I was tempted for a second and I didn't.
But one of
I'll keep it inside.
My favorite mic for horns is a ribbon mic. And those are kind of the hot thing. Remember, Royer had the 121, which is a great mic. I prefer the old RCAs or AEA, and here at Pasadena makes they're called large ribbon, big ribbon mics. Those are a little more esoteric. You can't just throw those in your gig bag and walk around like Rick Baptist. All the guys had those in their gig bags. But those sound incredible. It's a big ribbon, and it knocks off all the high end and just gives you that sound right off the bat. And the way they respond to transients, the the attack of the note is really cool. Sometimes these condensers are really brittle and bright. I've sciencey stuff. I've zoomed in on the waveforms on this last album I did because I had a ribbon and a condenser, a time aligned on Paul, and the waveform itself is different, which is very odd, right? You think
just in the difference between
the microphone, the transducer. Microphones are transducers. They take mechanical energy and make them electrical. So the way they work, ribbons are very pleasant and conducive to good, to being kind to us, brassy, loud, annoying trumpets. So look into those. Be aware, though, red light with ribbon mics, they're often figure 8, which means they're getting the sound in front of you, and they're also getting the sound behind you, because that's just the way they work mechanically. They're very simple devices. So if you have your ribbon mic in front of a pane of glass and you're blasting into the pane of glass, you're also getting the reflection off that glass equally loud as slightly less, but pretty much as loud as the direct sound. So be aware of that. You run into problems with ribbon mics in confined spaces. Be sure you have room in front of you if you're using a ribbon microphone.
Yeah, but if you're recording in your dorm room or your practice room or your little in-home garage studio, something like that.
You could fix it too by just putting something really soft and absorptive behind it. A bunch of pillows or something, or insulation. That will help mitigate the problem. But I find that is a common issue with the reflection from a ribbon microphone. Figure 8, be aware of that.
So depending on your personal playing and also what kind of sound you want to get, I mean, it sounds like it's almost worth experimenting with different mics if you have the luxury.
A lot of the guys like Dan Rosenboom has gone. I just bought a ribbon mic from him because he moved on to a different mic. So guys, they go through mics as they play, right? And sometimes they make a collection. For me, I like having a ribbon and a good ribbon and a good condenser, and you're pretty much set there.
Yeah, I mean, I know Jerry Hay was famous for his microphones.
Oh,
they came with his horn section.
What did he? Did he have U67s? I've seen videos. I have to look at those again. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and if I was, I brought him up, and I don't remember model numbers, but he did talk about it in his episode and also in his live stream Q&A. I mean, his internet was terrible, which was hysterical, but he went on about microphones, and
he's a
that's
smart
up
guy.
on YouTube.
Yeah, he's
done a few things.
Yeah, I was lucky to have him as a producer on a couple sessions at the studio.
What was that like?
Incredible. I mean, one was a Stanley Clark session too, which is even like double. It's like
his attention to detail, like he's
intense. He's an intense dude.
Yeah.
I see videos of him as a young man, and he seems kind of, especially playing on stage, he's very ebullient and like he's dancing around because there's kind of funky stuff. Yeah. But as a producer, he's folk, he's in the moment. You don't trifle with him.
But he can hear any, like he did a master class at Citrus College's studio. At one of the Atom Fests, and it was super cool because they had basically participants cycle through playing Jerry Hay charts, and they would record it in their Studio A there, professionally engineered, and then he would go back and listen to things, and he'd pick out this note, third trumpet, that's sharp, third, trombone, you're a hair late here, it's going by 16th note, stuff like that.
Yeah, him and Gary
absolutely
Grant.
Incredible.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, a guy greatest ears. Just like a monster brain and ears. Like wow.
And you hear the results in thousands of recordings.
Just phenomenal. Yeah.
So little microphone geekery there.
Yeah.
So you brought up Paul in one of your latest the latest projects.
So I have been busy lately. Contrary to my absence off Facebook, I just got sick of it.
You're not missing anything on social media.
I'm coming back. Yeah, I spent the last 4 months recording an album in a studio with live musicians. It's crazy. People do that.
It still exists.
Yeah. The Paul Literal Band. So we met
dear friend of both of ours. And
I met
previous
Paul,
podcast guest.
I met Paul first, though, maybe 20 years ago, maybe 2004, at a salsa gig. At the Palladium.
Before me?
Yeah. No, you I knew you before Paul.
Yeah. But because he had moved to town, I think, after we were already playing stuff.
Yeah, this was like 2004, 6 or something. I was doing a salsa gig at the Palladium, big show there, and we had a sub trumpet player, and it was Paul Literal. It was his first gig in town. So wild. And I was like, hey man, where are you from? New York? I had no idea. What?
I think it's a very similar story. you and I about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he just, he talked about who he's played. It was like, holy cow. He was pretty, he didn't go on. He was in the moment and there for the gig, not to tell his life story. But we connected. He liked old cars and stuff. And he played like a mofo, and was like, okay. And we became good friends. Very good friends.
And BMW buddies. I know you guys were always building his car, or he was working on yours.
Yeah, epic days. Yes, he was swearing like a sailor, and I'm underneath the car with bolts and stuff. We swapped engines out like 2 or 3 times, transmissions, rear end. It was crazy.
You guys were always doing something, and then half the time I'd have to drive him to a gig because his car was
up
like on blocks.
Yep.
Yeah. Or
same here.
Had no engine in it. Yeah.
Totally cool.
Yeah. But I wonder if I met Paul because he subbed for you in Rock Inc. Then I wonder if that was the connection.
Probably.
If you brought him in. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And what a boon for Dennis, because half the songs he played the original recordings on.
So if you're listening to this now, go back to episode 92, Paul Literal. And it was Uptown Horns, Paul was not a household name as a trumpet player, unless you were in New York and in that
Uptown
scene.
Horns, yeah.
Yeah, Uptown Horns, though, B-52s, Rolling Stones, Joe Cocker, Rick, James Brown, and the list
Living in
goes
America.
on. Yeah.
Yes. Robert Palmer.
Power Cameo, Word Up. We have that.
Power Station.
Yeah.
Some Like It Hot. I remember listening to that as a kid and going, that drum player is nuts, man. All those F sharps, just going.
Ray Charles.
So much energy.
Ray Charles. Yeah.
Buster Poindexter.
Buster. Yeah. So go back and listen to episode 92, and I'll tell the story briefly. But the same kind of thing, Greg, where we're sitting in someone's garage where, Rock Inc. used to rehearse.
Yes.
And,
but
by that point, I think you had moved on, except you kind of subbed a little bit. So I became the de facto lead player. And then so the sub, trying to find a second trumpet player, was kind of a rotating players until then Paul kind of settled into the position. And I remember the first couple of rehearsals, mofo trumpet player nails everything. And I was like, he should be sitting in my seat. But he was very humble. He was like, no, I'm just pro. I'm just here playing. And then after a few rehearsals, it's like, when I recorded this,
here's a hint.
This happened, And then, it's like he had a story for everything. Like half the charts were like, yeah, man, in this session, James Brown was right next door, and then he invited us over to, things like that. I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah, Living in America. He was on tour of the Stones, and he got called to do Living in America for the film Rocky film, and he just they flew him out one night. They recorded, they laid it down. Head chart basically on the spot, and they flew him back, and they continued the tour of the Rolling Stones Steel Wheels tour. Pretty wild.
So that's Paul in nickel in a nutshell.
Yeah, he's a player with a lot of energy in his sound,
a lot of energy,
and his personality too.
And what I loved about his horn section is the style, the swagger. It wasn't just we're playing an eighth note hit on the end of two. It's every note had attitude and grease to it.
Yeah.
So
he's a player that.
So with that introduction. You got to record his second album.
So he called me up and said, "Hey, man, I'd like you to help me out on this album." So I was like, "Okay, I'd love to." That's great, man. I love you, and I love you playing, and I got the whole of my schedule. I could do it. Let's do it. And perfect. So we started out with a Rodrigo chart. Follow Me. It's the Suite de Naranas. All right, I'll take on that. So that was cool. I was like, okay, Paul, this is a new direction. This is really mellow and ethereal and stuff. So that was cool. And then we started doing the other charts, and they're high energy stuff. So it's pretty wild. Trumpet, bone, 3 saxes, incredible rhythm section. Bill Bodine on bass, Tony Pia on drums, Ken Rosser, guitar player's phenomenal. Rocky Davis on piano, just phenomenal. I met all these new musicians. I knew Bill Bodine. He's a trumpet player too.
He's a fabulous trumpet player as well as a bass player and producer and
bass player from back in the day, like one of the top studio guys in LA back in the day, and still now. Really, he's doing a new album right now. Just phenomenal. So this band doing some multi-tracking, and then we led up to a big session at Evergreen, which is great for me. It's old school, whole band at once. on the floor, drums in a booth, bass in a booth, guitar in a booth, with the horns out on stage, live grand piano, and live singers too, in little, makeshift booths out on the floor.
Wow.
Yeah, thanks to Vicky.
What fun.
It was a lot of fun. And we recorded, 5 songs in just not kind of a truncated double session. We were out of there by 3:15. We did a lot of work that one day, and it's a testament to the band to be able to play in professionalism. And that's another thing about being a player. Show up and be ready to play, and it might be an easy gig or maybe a tough one. This was a tough one, and Paul laid down all the lead, and then a whole bunch of solos afterwards.
Yeah. So I want to bring this around. And so one last plug for our dear friend Paul, The Literal Truth, Outrageous 8 Records, and that's numeral 8.
Yep.
And we'll look down in the description, look down in the links, show notes. We'll have
available
links so you
on
can get to
every digital platform available, and CDs if you want.
Yeah. Maybe we can even get Paul to sign a few.
That would be cool.
So
sure he would.
We'll work on that. So I want to wrap this up with the trumpet. Have you gotten back to trumpet playing after hanging it up with the studio?
I have begun my relationship with the trumpet by opening the case today and looking at, make sure the valves worked, and they do, and looking at mouthpieces. And the 43S is sitting there waiting. And now that this album is done, and other projects are done, it is waiting.
Yeah.
Wow, what should I do? Should I start doing practice rehearsal bands again at the union? That kind of thing. That's how do you get back into it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, he starts with playing. We can get together
long
and play
tones.
Duets.
Yeah, duets.
We can get together and play duets.
Yes.
Happy to play anytime you want.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. No, the horn is a cruel mistress, and I cannot wait to be back in her sweet, sweet arms again.
The trumpet is an amazing thing. As much as I've tried to give it up, it's still...
You can't.
Yeah,
you can't.
Got to go back to it.
Yeah, people like, you were this business guy running a studio. Why are you still, a musician? It's like, because I can't not be.
Yeah, that's who we are.
Being an engineer and mixing albums is art and all that. So that's been satisfactory, but I need to start playing in the public again. I could play a few notes here and there, and I have, but the balance is, how good you can play, and then you hear how badly you're playing in the moment. And you have to bridge that gap.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. And we run through that a lot. In fact, I just had a retired LAPD officer in Marine Corps, 20 years in the Marine Corps, very dear, obviously amazing service to our country. He came in, he's like, I took 12 years off from playing and I'm getting back to it. And, on his journey. And I was like, look, those 12 years are gone, and I know it feels unusual, but and you're older now, so it doesn't, you don't recover as quicker as you did 12 years ago or when you were 20.
Yeah.
But hopefully you're a little bit wiser. So when you're coming back, you can come back with a fresh approach, and maybe you'd be surprised yourself. You might even do things you didn't know you could do.
That's true. There may be a new facet you hadn't that's uncovered.
Yeah. And then with a renewed joy, I think it's the most important part.
And the world is a different place. There's new music being created, there's new styles, and there's a whole new world to explore.
Yeah. Let's start a ska band,
dude.
Let's jump around on stage.
I don't know about that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. Not all of my ideas are good. Maybe just some of them.
Half of it.
Well, Greg, it's been an absolute honor having you on. Equipment. You mentioned you're still using
Bach Strats.
Still your Bach 37.
Yeah, I've got 2 Bach B flats. I've got the one I've had since high school, which has been modified by Dennis Najoom, which is my legit horn, which is just a medium large, typical. What is it? The Bell 37 or whatever.
37 Bell.
Yep. And then I bought a Bach Strat from Sean Billings when he became a Yamaha artist, I believe. He unloaded a really great Bach Strat that is a total ripper. The Star, the lightweight bell. And that thing has, high notes are just built in. It's amazing. And it's great because it's, I don't know. I tend not to play too bright. I try to, but it's got enough brightness where it'll cut easily, and you have to be careful. So I love that horn. 43S. If I'm doing extreme lead stuff, I'll use this crazy GR mouthpiece I found. It's got like 6 stars at the end of the number. It's like a 66Z star. I do 1.5C or modified 3C. I've got a beautiful Bach flugelhorn, which I love dearly. It's a real flugelhorn, not a trumpet valves casing. E flat D, Bach Strat again. Schilke P54. I've got a rotary valve trumpet for playing polka band music.
You can take the Polish guy out of Wisconsin.
Yes, but you can't take the. Yes, and we have done polka gigs, and slide trumpet is a lot of fun too.
Yeah,
and
we can play
natural
that too?
Trumpets. Yeah,
okay.
Natural trumpets are great.
Let's play slide trumpet duets. I got my Minnick.
They are so obnoxious. There's no valve.
That's great.
It's just
yeah. No excuse for poor intonation.
We could really annoy a lot of people with those.
Yeah, let's do it.
Slightly out of tune too. Let's do it.
Well, so with that, and you still do recording. Where can folks find out? You have a website, or I know you don't.
I do have a website.
Media.
GregCurtis.net is my website, and I'm on Facebook. I'll try to respond to messages, and you can reach me at Greg Recording or GregTPT at gmail.com. Greg Trumpet.
Okay, yeah, we'll have all that info in case someone wants to do a recording project or play duets with you as well after hearing our conversation.
All right, yeah.
Great. Absolute honor having you on. Great seeing you, buddy. And I can't let you go without one last final question that I ask all of our guests. If you could leave our audience with your best piece of advice, and it could be about anything, what would that be?
Show up the night before. Be prepared. The gig starts before the red light comes on. Be prepared. Mm-hmm. And when you're there, enjoy it. Be in the moment and let it happen. That's the best thing you could ever do, and it becomes a joyful experience. Yeah, just be prepared.
Yeah, absolutely great advice. Yeah. Greg,
sure.
Thank you, my friend. Good seeing you.
Pleasure. Thanks, John.
Well, what a fun conversation with Greg. And I mean, it's one of those things where life happens, and we used to play with each other on bands and in quintets and weddings and funerals and things almost on several times a week. And then we probably haven't seen each other in years. So that's going to change now that we reconnected through the podcast. But as I said up front, I mean, what a wealth of information Greg has and his experience with the groups he's played in, his pedagogy as a trumpet player. And then that when he got that bug to do audio engineering and recording, and everything I know about Greg, you saw on display. Never go halfway. So if you get into audio recording, what are you going to do? Build your own studio. And I was fortunate to be around for that whole process and to see the different steps. And our brass quintet played when he installed the sound panels to get a feel for the room when there was still a bunch of dust and construction stuff around. So really cool experience also for me while he was going through that process. You can still check out Greg, GregCurtis.net. He still does a lot of production things, live projects, audio engineering, recording, mastering, things like that. So you can learn more about Greg at that website, and we'll have the links to that down in the show notes. And also check out our buddy Paul Literal that we mentioned in the interview. Paul was previous guest, Hollywood Paul Literal. He's better known as the Uptown Horns. So rewind, go back down to Spotify or Apple Podcast playlist and find Paul's episode. He had a lot of great stories playing with the Rolling Stones and James Brown and you name it, the B-52s. But by all means, please check out Paul's latest album, The Literal Truth, that Greg helped engineer. And we'll have the links where you can stream that, or even better, support another trumpet artist and purchase a download. We'll have the links to that in the show notes and description. All right. As I promised on the front end of this episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about the equipment I use in case you are curious from the last interview with me. So long story short, I practice on a 3C, a Bob Reeves, the symphonic series. It's a 3C with a 24 bore and a 24 back bore. So I do 99% of my practicing on that. And then it's the complete inverse of when I'm playing. Most of the playing I do is lead playing in the big band. And so I use a Reeves 40S with a new 19 back bore. for most of that playing. I'd say 90% of my lead playing is on that. And then I have a smaller mouthpiece that's kind of a custom mouthpiece. It's similar to the Bud Brisbois mouthpiece that Bob made, similar in style. It's not exactly like it, but it's like our 37, 38 rim. I call it a 37 and a half. A fairly deep V cup, similar to what Bud and Maynard Ferguson and others used. Fairly deep for the style of mouthpiece it is. I don't even know. It's a fairly big back bore as well. So I use that when push comes to shove. I think was it Roy McGregor? I think it was in Bill Bing's episode. Bill quoted Roy McGregor. It said, security for a trumpet player means knowing that you have a one size smaller mouthpiece sitting in the case in case you need it. And so my security is that custom mouthpiece when push comes to shove, or there's an arrangement of a big band chart that clearly the arranger didn't know the range of a trumpet or the endurance of a trumpet. So that's my main mouthpieces. I use a Charlie Davis trumpet, 25 CD bell, his signature bell. Been using that for about 10 years. Always wanted a Vanlar Chuck Finley. I use a Vanlar R2 flugel in rose gold, one of a kind. One of my treasures is that flugelhorn, almost gifted to me from Hugh Vanlar. He made me a deal I couldn't refuse. And check out, I was on a podcast with Brian Hayes, the Music Mind podcast down in Australia a few years ago, and I was featured on flugelhorn on that. So if you Google that, you can see me playing that rose gold flugelhorn with dear friend Brian Hayes. I mean, I have all kinds of other equipment. I have an Alphorn that I play a lot. I have a Minnick soprano trombone that I got from Noah Gladstone. He insisted I learn it if I'm going to host a trombone podcast. So I got a Minnick soprano trombone that I love playing. I play on a lot. I just picked up its little brother, a sopranino Minnick, one of two in the world, a little E-flat sopranino trombone. I have all kinds of fun toys, but 99% of my playing is done on the Vanlar flugel, the Charlie Davis horn, and either my 3C24 or my 40S19. So there you go. Now you know more about me than anyone else in the world. That's it for this episode. As I mentioned earlier, we have Tim Larkin coming up. I have a couple other interviews in the can. Dave Adewumi, I had plugged him earlier. He just did that project with Dave Douglas. He's coming up on a future episode. I have Rick Braun has agreed to do an interview. Great jazz and smooth jazz trumpet players coming up in a few episodes, and many more. So hit that subscribe button, hit that 5-star review button, and leave a comment if you're on any of those places where you can leave a comment. I call it feeding the algorithm. Right, the more you interact with the show, the more people can see it, and the more love we can spread. Okay, that's all for this episode. Until next time, let's go out and make some music.